We had 15 employees doing a couple $1 million a year rev, really profitable. COVID hits. So we were 80% down in April 2020. We've got to figure something out here and pivot this business. And the answer was
Ash bent. He pivoted to neon signs during COVID and scaled to $4.2 million per month in 2 years.
Then his Meta account got shut down. Everything collapsed. He had to fire 40 people in a single day. His reaction? He felt free.
Leading into this point where we were launching into the US, I'd said to Tash, my business partner at the time, I was like, look, we're still burning cash. I threw 30 grand into the business. I said, Tash, this is it. If this doesn't work, we're done. We're shutting the business down. So we've gone from $0 revenue in e-com a few months before to $500,000 in a few days. Broke every single system in the business.
So you mentioned before you lost your Meta account, and that was a major part of how you're winning business.
Yeah, it was our main channel.
So how did you lose it?
All of a sudden we've lost our Meta account. I was like, that is how we're driving all of our revs. Then 18 months later, we randomly had our account just turn off again. And at that point, there was points where we were spending $100 grand a day on ads. We'd burn an extra $800K in that month just trying to hit our revenue number.
You went from $2.5 million months and having 100 staff to next day having to fire 40 people and literally packing your whole US business into a shipping container. What goes through your head when everything's falling apart like that?
It's gone and you're like, cool, I'm free. What's next?
Take us to the moment where you had to let 40 people go in one day. Today, I'm joined by Ash Bent. If you've ever dreamed of scaling your business to millions, hiring 100 people, taking on VC funding, and going global, Ash lived that. And then he watched it all collapse. But instead of breaking, he rebuilt with health and family at the center. I'm pumped for this one because I think Ash's story is the perfect blend, perfect mix of raw lessons and big vision. Ash, welcome to Flow Zone.
Thanks, Mark. Pleasure to be here, mate.
Mate, first thing I notice is you've got a big smile that reminds me of Daniel Ricciardo. Have you ever been told that?
Yeah, I have, mate. Yeah.
There is so much similarity.
Yeah, that big cheesy ass grin. Yeah, the loud laugh. Yeah.
Ash, you went from $2.5 million months and having 100 staff to next day, basically, having to fire 40 people and literally packing your whole US business into a shipping container. Now, most people by then would be done. They'd be in therapy or just drugs and alcohol. Just don't worry about calling me again. I don't have a phone anyway. But you were sketching your next idea on the plane on the way home. What goes through your head when everything's falling apart like that?
Mate, good question. We're straight into it, aren't we?
Yes.
I like it. Mate, it was, I think at that point, mate, it was just a big relief. One of my biggest values is freedom. And it felt like this business, which was amazing. And I grew so much as an entrepreneur and as a founder and a CEO in that. I think it gets to this point where it's big and it's amazing, you're running with it. And then it's gone and you're like, cool, I'm free. What's next? Yeah, it was actually as scary as some of it could be, it was exciting. Yeah. It was exciting being okay, cool.
You're the ultimate adventurer to have that kind of mentality. Just give our listeners and viewers a bit of a rundown of what this business journey was so that we can talk about that big moment. What were we building here?
Yeah, okay. I'll try and keep this short because my wife's keep to the point, Ash. So long and short of it, started this business off the back of my first business called Cinefly. It was a business that I started making drones with my brother. And my brother's autistic, and it became very clear when he was 18 that the normal employer-employee relationship wasn't going to work for him. So I started this business making drones because he showed an interest in it, and we would offer the services of flying these drones around and do photography, videography, surveying, all that stuff, right? So did that, and it was amazing. My younger brother grew so much as a young man, so it served its purpose, but it wasn't profitable. But we had this laser cutter that we were using to prototype parts, and I was like, okay, what can I use this for? Let's spin up another business, which was Sketch and Etch, and I'll just say yes to anything. So laser cutting little acrylic or timber key rings, signs, whatever. And then my first employee became my business partner, Tash. And we just kind of scaled and followed on demand, and it turned into wedding and event signage and stationery was our niche. Come COVID times, we had 15 employees doing a couple $1 million a year rev, $2-3 million a year rev, really profitable, wasn't spending anything on marketing, it was great. COVID hits, obviously for us Melbourne businesses and in Australia, not many wedding and events happening in 2020. So we were 80% down in April 2020. And I remember being in in the meeting room. We called it the middle room at the old workshop. We sketched and etched, had the whole team in there. I remember up on the screen had World War Corona. I was kind of like, okay, we've got to like figure something out here and pivot this business. And the answer was neon signs, which we were making some of, and going D2C, like go direct to consumer e-com business. So we had like, we didn't have anything on our website that was e-com, nothing like that. So rebuilt the website, launched it here in Oz in June 2020, threw some cash at Facebook ads. It worked, it was profitable. And my gut told me that the US is the market we should be going after. So spun up a new website for the US, localized it. So changed the S's to Z's and made it US dollars.
Change the S's to Z's. Got to make it easy to spell. It's got to be phonetic.
Yeah, that's it. And so we did that in August 2020. And straight away it worked. Like we were able to spend cash on Facebook and get a really good return. And we scaled quite quickly. And August was great. September was awesome. October flatlined with the US election. But then November, it was the first Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And being an Aussie, prior to 2020, BFCM wasn't a big thing. It was always for us, it's always end of financial year and Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And so Black Friday, Cyber Monday comes, and I remember the guy that was running our Facebook ads from LA, his name was Nick Shackelford, and he was like, what's your budget? And I remember leading into this point where we were launching into the US, I'd said to Tash, my business partner at the time, I was like, look, we're still burning cash here. We're trying to keep everyone gainfully employed. We don't know where the future of the business is. I threw 30 grand into the business and I said, Tash, this is it. If this doesn't work where we throw it at ads in the US, like we're done, like we're shutting the business down. And so like, fortunately it worked. So I'm on this call with Nick and he's like, what's the budget? And I was like, mate, like if you put $1 in and get 3 back, just keep going. And he's like, okay, yeah, but what's the budget? I was like, dude, like there is no, just like go. Like I was like, what's he think this is going to turn into? Anyway, BFCM happens. Over those few days, we did like $500,000 rev. So we've gone from like $0 revenue in e-com a few months before to like $500,000 in a few days. Broke like every single system in the business. Like
wow.
I had like one customer service rep that couldn't deal with this influx. Like we didn't have enough designers because all the signs we made were like custom. We couldn't design the signs quick enough to get them to, and we couldn't manufacture this amount. So we had to rely on manufacturers in China. They couldn't get it made in time. I'd promised everyone they're going to get it by Christmas. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, fortunately we ended up figuring that out. And then 2021, I was like, okay, well, this is our business now. We're a direct-to-consumer e-com business. And we just scaled all through 2021 and threw every dollar we had back into the business, into growth, and grew to 50 employees, all bootstrapped. And then was talking to a VC fund from the US the whole year, and we closed a deal with them January 2022. I moved to LA, spend like 80% of my time there over the next like 18 months, 2 years. And flying back and forwards, it was pretty crazy. And then scaled to 100 employees. Our biggest month was November 2023. 2022, sorry. We did 4.2 mil in that November. So like within like 2.5 years, we went from like $0 ecom months to like 4.2 mil months. Like wow. it was crazy. Yeah.
That is a wild ride. And like the things that were breaking were actually good things to break.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
One of those, and like the thing is, direct to consumer ecom during COVID, like I'm not going to say it was a license to print money because there was a lot of like people that probably would have stuffed it up pretty royally. But there was a lot of expectations management happening anyway. It's kind of like the pandemic was doing it for you. Yeah, we said Christmas, but we mean later. Guess what? We built a factory. It's going to be sooner. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Like good problems to have.
Yep.
One of the things I want to double click on here, because I know a lot of our listeners and viewers are business owners and entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And something that's emerged in recent times as a term is money models. Like Hormozi's just released a book, and it's a great book. And many people would have just called that a cash conversion cycle, where you're charging and you're receiving as much revenue as you can at the point of sale.
Yep.
And then you get to go and use that money to go and manufacture, drop ship, whatever you're going to do, whatever your term is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And there's enough there to go and advertise to get 3 more customers, right? So that was the kind of comment you were making. If you get $1 in and get 3 back, just keep going.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're referring to there, yeah?
Spot on. Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss this because they're used to going to an advertising agency, a performance agency, and saying, hey, I got money. I've heard it's a really good place to put it. They're like, oh, yeah, it's great.
Come to me.
Yeah, come to me. And then as soon as you get in, they're like, oh, we've got to warm the algorithm up.
Yeah.
You know, and then we warm the algorithm up. And then you go, oh, I think something's not right. Maybe we should try Google as well.
Yeah.
You know, before you've even nailed your offer.
Yeah, and we want your SEO done so we can bring down the cost of your Google ads.
Yeah. So before you know it, there's like 19 tentacles running out of this one agency that you met at a party.
Yeah.
So, like, there must have been something compelling in your offer in the first place, though, that people said, fuck yeah, neon signs with my name on it. Like, there's all the things in the world I can invest my hard-earned dollars on now.
This is it.
I'm buying this. What was it in your offer that was so compelling, do you think?
I think it was like at that time, people were paying a lot more attention to their space. With COVID, we're spending a lot more time at home. And I was like, oh, what can we do to make this more inviting? And then, of course, this whole work from home became a thing. So it's like, oh, I want this space to be more inviting. I want it to be more inspiring. So like a neon sign with your favorite quote, or a neon sign in your kid's room, or a neon sign. And we just look at like the blowing up of social media and us sharing everything. Like, it's very shareable. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it was like this convergence of a bunch of different things happening at once. And it was trending. It was cool. Like, yeah. So, you know, look, insert X influencer or celeb, they had neon signs. So yeah.
Yes.
Like we did one for, I was like, oh, there were so many like big names. We had so many like customers just buy them. We'd find out later that they're huge like celebrities or sports people and that. We didn't even know.
Oh, so they became like, you know, creators for you.
They did. I mean, they just buy it from it because they loved it. And then we're like, oh, these guys are actually huge. Do you mind if we use some of your content? So like Lizzo got one from us, for example, and was like, oh, I didn't know who Lizzo was when she bought one. And then I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, I said to my wife, I was like, oh, do you know who this Lizzo is? And she's like, are you kidding, Ash? Yeah. Yes, of course. So yeah, it was cool.
Wow.
So in regards to the offer, I think it was really good timing. There was demand out there. We were able to capture it. And we had a brand that stood, and because we'd been around for quite some time, we could leverage that. There was a lot of new brands coming on the market. And even though we pivoted our business, we built a lot of trust on, because we're in wedding and events. So you can't miss a wedding.
Yes.
So we were very we had amazing customer support, and we really cared about delivering things when we said we would. And yes, as an example, where it's like, we're not going to get this to everyone by Christmas. We're on the front foot with that. So I think people saw that and saw a brand that had been around for years, and there was that trust. It's not someone that just spun up, overnight and is drop shipping from China.
Okay. So you were able to utilize the business you were already doing.
Yeah.
And the fact you were established longer than yesterday.
Yes.
And then you're on the front foot with communication when things weren't going really well. But was that something that you got in front of? Like, because it sounded like you ended up with this amazing customer service. Like, how did you mobilize that quickly?
Yeah, like with the example of Christmas, we were like, okay, this isn't going to happen. The manufacturer in China, we pushed them. They actually ended up getting to the point where we could have pretty much got, say around 90% of the products delivered to customers in time for Christmas. The issue was freight. So we'd have the DHL truck turn up. We'd have 1,000 neons there waiting to go out. They would go and take 3 and be like, cool, we'll come back tomorrow. And we're like, it's going to take a year to get rid of this backlog.
Yeah.
And FedEx were the same, UPS, everyone was the same. So customers had seen it from other brands as well. So they were forgiving it being late. But what we did is we said, okay, we're going to send this, we'll make this card. It'll be Santa's elves are making your neon. They're delayed. They're so busy. And here's a mock-up of their neon on this Christmas card. And we're like, we will send you really high quality printed versions of this, or a digital one for you to print off. So at least you can put something under the Christmas tree if it's a gift for someone. So, customers love that. So we're like, how can we be on the front foot here and, and not tell them that on Christmas Eve. We were weeks out. Hey, I don't like our chances of this turning up. And I think about 40% of people would end up getting it in time for Christmas, but we just treated like no one was going to get it in time. So
that's a great pivot. That's a really good adaptation when you've got fixed and movable objects such as third parties and delivery and COVID. Yeah. But just to say, well, what do we want to give? If it's a gift for Christmas, then there's a sentiment of the gift.
Yeah, that's right.
And that really sets you in high esteem. I love that. So you mentioned before you lost your Meta account.
Yeah.
And that was a major part of how you're winning business.
Yeah.
It
was our main channel.
So how did you lose it?
Oh, mate. Let me tell the first time we lost it. I remember I was out. So during COVID, I was living out in a tiny house. My now wife, my then either girlfriend or fiance, whatever point it was in our relationship, we were living out in a tiny house. That's a whole other story how we got to living in a tiny house. But 10 acres of bush backing onto the Otways. Amazing place to be during COVID because we're like fully self-sufficient off grid. Like we were like, oh, this is
So
awesome.
just for our listeners, tiny homes are these literally tiny homes. They're like a demountable, right?
Yeah. Built on a trailer.
Yeah.
I randomly years before had watched a random YouTube video and thought tiny houses were cool and said to my girlfriend, we'd been dating for like 6 months, said to Maddie, I was like, hey, it's like tiny houses look cool. What do you think? She's like, yeah. I was like, sweet. So then I just went full ADHD and just was like, I'm going to build a tiny house.
Oh, you got to build one.
Yeah.
You're not just going to get one.
No. So like built the whole thing from scratch. I ordered a custom trailer that is like 10 meters long that would hold 4.5 ton, like, and then spent, I was like, oh, this will take 3 months to build. Why does everyone take, 6 months to build these? It took years.
Yeah. In between your other 32 jobs.
Yeah, all the other projects and stuff. So we were living out out in this tiny house on property. It was all bush, like kangaroos jumping around echidnas. Like a super cool spot. Got a big German Shepherd called Sirius. He loved it out there. So anyway, losing the first Meta account, I remember being out there. It was a Saturday night through COVID still. And I started getting these like random messages pinging through to me. And then like a guy who had an agency here in Oz that was running our both Aussie and US Meta account at that time was like, there's something going on here, pinged me on Slack. My business partner Tash called me. She's like, my Facebook account's been hacked. And so what happened is they got into our ad account through Tash's Facebook account, started running ads for like back pain medication or something, was like 10 grand hitting the card, 10 grand hitting the, like just like within minutes, there was like 50 grand just gone out of the bank account. We're like, whoa. And they like that. So, we're going pausing everything, doing what we can. So we lost it. And it was crazy during this time, we were in the due diligence period with the VCs. So they're like obviously watching everything. And so all of a sudden we've lost our Meta account. I was like, that is how we're driving all of our rev.
Wow.
Like not all, but like that's our main channel.
Yes.
We've just lost that. And we ended up spinning up a backup account. We didn't get that account for probably a month. So we had a backup account running that was nowhere near as efficient. So anyway, we got through that and that was bad. Then 18 months later, we randomly had our account just turn off again. And at that point, there was points where we were spending like 100 grand a day on ads.
Yeah, like 100 grand a day on Meta is a serious, like you're getting contacted by Meta at this point saying, hey, you're premium, how can we help you?
Yeah. So we had like good account managers and everything. And to our account managers, we were like, what's going on? We've just lost our account. And they're like, oh, it's because of this hangover of this hack from 18 months ago. And we're like, what? And so randomly Meta had just flagged it and they couldn't turn it back on. So we had to spin up a backup account. And again, the efficiency was gone. Our returns dropped so much. We burned an extra 800K in that month just trying to hit our revenue number. And we finally got that account back again. But like the Pixel hasn't had data hitting it for a certain period of time for us. So I was like, we lost all these efficiencies. So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Man, that's hectic.
Yeah, it was
That's hectic. There's been a lot going on at once. And you're saying this with a big smile now. Like, is this how you are always, even if there's shit going down?
Yeah. Like my
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Like my business, actually, I really do know. Maybe my business coach, or our business coach throughout this period and had been for years, a guy called Steve Kloud, awesome, who's an EO, who's in YPO now. Amazing guy. Like I owe so much to Steve, and he was with us through COVID. And I remember him saying to me, it was like, he was there as we're closing the deal with the VCs and helping us negotiate and stuff. And he said, he's like, Ash, he's like, you were just like, one criticism I have, but it is also, look at it as being a compliment, is you're just like positively optimistic.
Yeah.
He's like, there is like, you're just always optimistic. And I was like, yeah, it's not, what other ways there'd been? I think it all came from my mum, mate. Like mum is just like overly positive about everything. And she, big oversharer, talks a lot. Like, we share a lot of similar attributes, but she's, just always extremely positive, and that's how she was. So that just rubbed off on me. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to have rubbed off.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a lot of people who would have just been absolutely flatlined by what went on. Take us to the moment where you had to let 40 people go in one day.
Yeah, that was crazy. I've got the photo on my phone. So it came to this ahead where the direction forward, between the investors, like the VCs and us, that the pathway forward, there wasn't an agreement on how we're going to move forward with this. We needed extra funding. It was clear that this wasn't going to happen. We had a couple of weeks left of cash before it was like game over. And so, yeah, over a period of a weekend, many conversations with the team, with like my leadership team, my business partner, Tash. I was in LA at that point. Tash was back in Melbourne or like Geelong. And my wife, or then fiance, Maddie, was in LA with me. And yeah, there was many conversations like, what do we do here? And yeah, walked in, the Monday was a public holiday, and walked in on the Tuesday and said to the leadership team, I was like, we're going to have to let like everyone go except for these few people. And so it came to the end of the workday at like 4 p.m. because we had a big production team there making neon signs. And then we had our sales team, our marketing team, our designers, like we'd in-house everything. Like, yeah. So yeah. So at the end of that, getting the whole team there and being like, hey guys, like, you know, thank you for having trust in me and in us and this business and what we believe in. And unfortunately, this is the end of the road, and yeah, I had to let everyone go there. And what was crazy was everyone just like hung around, and it was just like crank music, got food ordered in, got beers. Like everyone just didn't want to leave. They were like giving me hugs and telling me it's the best job they've ever had and all this. And I've got like, it's like, oh, I didn't expect that reaction. So yeah, it was crazy. But then at the end of that, I've got a video on my phone of me in the workshop after everyone had left, and I'm playing like Blink 182, and there is like 40 desks set up for people to make neons, and it's completely empty. And just being like, cool, okay, this is the end of this chapter, and being like, we're going to get kicked out of this building very soon because we're not going to be able to afford to pay rent. We've got to get anything worth anything into a container and back to Australia if there's any chance of saving the business. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. So that pack up, I imagine, was pretty intense.
Yeah. You had a few people that had hung around over the next X period of time, like the next, week or so to help pack up. But yeah, it was pretty intense. Like you moved through a lot. And at the same time, you would deal with like still running the business, still team in Australia, remote workers all over the world. Like, so we've gone from 100 employees, 40 gone, so we're down to 60. But there was still like, okay, if we can't get this to turn around very quickly, we're going to have to keep cutting, which we did.
So what did that period look like over the next couple of months? Because like you hear about these moments, right? Yeah. I've had some incredible founders on here, Kiki K, talking about what went on with
Crazy
them.
Story, yeah.
Yeah. So I know in my own world, when I've had to make an announcement of something substantial, like the build up to it is where most of the grief is for the leader. Yeah. But then there's this kind of double after, like you sort of like you have the low moment and you deal with it and you get all the pats on the back, but then you've just got to eat shit for like months. Yeah. Where it's like you've already had your low moment, everyone else has had one, but now you're still down there just spooning shit.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for months?
Yeah, mate, it was rough. It was exactly that, just eating shit. And so here you go, to add to it. So we packed up the container, anything that we thought would bring back to Australia, try and continue the business, whatever, turn around, sent that back. I jumped on a flight from LA to Melbourne. On that flight is where I came up with the idea for Kloud, and we can get on to talking about that. I landed, so left on the Tuesday night, LA time, landed Thursday morning, Melbourne time. Friday was my Bucks party, 3-day Bucks party. 2 weeks later, got married. The 3-day Bucks party was like, I'd been months before. My wife was like, what are you going to do for Bucks? I was like, I haven't drank in 8 years or something. I was like, back in my 20s, it'd be like, cool, fun. Like, let's do the booze cruise and end up where they all end up and rah, rah. Yeah. I was like, Bubs, I've got no interest in any of that. I was like, I don't want to do it. And I was like, go out for dinner or whatever. Like, it could be fun, but I'm like, I don't, like, whatever. You do your Hens Day thing, I'm sweet. And Maddie was like, okay, well, if you had like 15 of your best bros and they had to do what you said, what would you do? I was like, I'd go stay at a property out in the middle of nowhere on some land. I would go for a hike, do breath work, get in ice bars, saunas, cook food there and just chill for 3 days. She's like, well, I didn't do that. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, we got this place just out of Dalesford and did that. Oh, cool. So I landed on the Thursday, went to that on the Friday, didn't tell anyone. Only one mate from EO, like from an EO forum did I tell that was there. No one else knew what was going on with the business, but it was awesome because I got to do go on these hikes, do the breath work through this stuff in the ice bar saunas and just be there with my mates and not talk about that stuff. And everyone became like super tight, and there was some my brother-in-law is a plasterer and he's got a plastering business, amazing operator. Like I love, Jace is unbelievable guy, but him doing breath work and getting in an ice bath is like, Jace is like a stereotypical Aussie. Yeah. It's like, there was a Southern Cross tattoo there at some point, I'm sure that's now covered with another one. It's like, it's like, you know, and I love him, but him doing this was like a fish out of water, and there was a few people there like that. But everyone came together and shared this experience. And then, our wedding was 2 weeks later. 15 minutes before the wedding, the venue we were having the wedding at got evacuated because there was a bushfire down in Lorne.
Oh.
Every town on the Great Ocean Road had been evacuated except for us in Lorne. We've got like our nearest and dearest, like 140 people here. And my wife's like, have we brought everyone here to die? Like, what the hell?
What an ending.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What a commencement.
Yeah, it was nuts, mate. And it ended up being, I remember at that exact point when it happened, saying to my wife, I said, don't tell Maddie what's going on. Let's do this first look, get our photos done. And so we got that done. She looked around. She's like, why are the groomsmen still wearing shorts? And we're like, oh, hey, Bubs, funny story. There's a bushfire. Told Maddie, and she just laughed. And she's like, what do you want to do? I was like, whatever you want to do, Bubs. Like, we can call it off. Like, it's fine. And we didn't have an engagement party. It got pushed a bunch of times because of COVID, and we cancelled it. And so she said, I just want to get married. I don't care. Like, we just walk down to the beach and get married with a couple of witnesses. The celebrant's here. Like, I just want to get married to you. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I walked out there and a bunch of entrepreneur mates, and I said, go find us a venue. And within an hour and a half, we were getting married down at the beach on Lorne, and there's a venue down there, Mira, which is like normally booked out 2 years in advance. For some reason, they didn't have an event on that Saturday night. A friend of a friend's cousins owned it. And and you can't get married down on the beach in Lorne. Like, it's illegal. But we're like, the cops are dealing with the bushfire. Like, we're fine. And ended up being on the news. Koshy did a live cross to us on the Monday morning. We got home from the wedding, and there's like Channel 7 news sitting out the front of our house, and Maddie's like, get these people out of here. And I was like, she's like, stop doing this like tour, Ash. And I was like, no, I was so grateful for the people that had allowed us to have our wedding and hosted us, that I just wanted to give them all this publicity. And so it was crazy. So that was kind of the start of this like next few months. It was pretty hectic.
Man.
And so it was like eating shit every day and like crazy. Like, we always say cash flow challenges in business. This is like a whole other level, because obviously you build a business to be operating at tens of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're not bringing in that. You get it back to, we right-size the business back to the point that was profitable, but you've got this tidal wave behind you of like, oh, these are all the creditors that are due. This is like all the inventory that we're now sitting on, or materials that we've over-invested in for the business that's this size. It was okay for this, but not for this. So yeah, it was crazy.
So that period would have gone for months on end.
Yeah.
But because you were already thinking about the next thing, on the flight on the way home, you started sketching up your next business plan.
Yeah.
Which we talk about, Kloud.
Yeah.
I said it right?
Yeah.
Dutch.
Yeah. Dutch, Kloud. Yeah. I always say I just say to Aussies say like cowed, like loud and cowed. But yeah, that was that flight, mate. It was that, like you said, that sense of freedom. It was weird. It was like, okay, well, what's next? Like, I can do anything now. What do I want to actually do?
So what did that pop in your mind?
I think it was funny. And I was reflecting on this with Maddie last night, knowing that I'm coming here having a chat with you. And I was like, what do I talk about? And Maddie's like, you got some pretty crazy stories, Ash. Like, I'm sure you'll be fine. And what became really clear is, and I tell these stories and I hadn't really connected the dots this clearly, is like at all these really pivotal points in my life where you could say were rock bottom or challenging periods, I'd come back to cold exposure or saunas or breath work in some way. It helped me through these really challenging periods, but it wasn't something I actively associated with me. Like, I wasn't like the ice bath dude. But it was something that was always there that I came back to. And maybe, again, part of having ADHD, you forget a bunch of shit. So I kind of just forget that I like this stuff. I go super hard with it for months and then forget about it. And then 6 months later, you come back to it. But there was all these points in my life that it came to that. The one when the first business finishing up Cinefly and going into Sketch, I had these real crazy health challenges at the time. I was anytime up between 12 and 2 p.m. every single day, I would get this unplugged feeling, eyes would glaze over. It was like I wasn't there. Like, I couldn't focus. I remember my stepdad, Rick, coming into the workshop multiple times when this was happening. He'd look at me and be like, Ash, you're not there. Like, what's going on? And I was like, it was kind of like a second day hangover, just hitting you really hard after a really big night. But
after a bender.
Yeah, but it was
without the booze.
Without the booze.
And other stuff.
Yeah. There's nothing. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And, go see the GP. They're like, mental health plan, go see a psychologist. They're like, Ash, look, next thing for us is put antidepressants. I was like, look, I didn't feel like that was the next step I wanted to take. I was like, I don't feel like I'm that depressed. There's something else going on here. saw a naturopath. She diagnosed me with something called pyrrole pretty quick, where your zinc and copper's out of whack and stuff. But at that time, I saw this documentary on Wim Hof and YouTube vid, went for like 40 minutes. Vice did it. And I was like, this crazy old Dutch guy's onto something here. And it was really resonating. I don't know why. And again, saying to Maddie, I was like, hey, this looks really cool. And she's like, look, it's not in the budget. It's going to cost you $3,500 to do one of his retreats in Poland and another $3,500 to get there. We don't have the cash for that, but let's set as a goal and save for the next 12 months. And then literally like a month later, he announced he's coming to Australia. First time he's doing a retreat outside of Europe, like a big retreat outside of Europe. It's like in a few $1,000 for the ticket, whatever it was. He then announced that it's going to be in Dalesford, which is like an hour and a half from Geelong. I was like, awesome. And a few weeks out from the retreat, they said that venue doesn't work anymore. We'll find something else. It'll be within, 4 hours of Melbourne. So the week before, they announced that it's going to be in a place called Aries Inlet, which is down on the Great Ocean Road. And the property we own, and we were renting a place nearby while we were building the tiny house, is on the other side of the Otway. So literally I jumped in my Land Cruiser and drove for 10 minutes down a gravel road to get to the retreat where Wim Hof and 40 other people were. Like, it's like I'd summoned him from like...
Like you had summoned him to your bloody property.
Yeah. And it was hilarious, mate. Like, it was the Friday night, 40 people, everyone had flown in. I think there's maybe 10, 15 Aussies. Everyone else had flown in from around the world. So it's like, hey, I'm John from LA. Hey, I'm Sally from Brazil. And it's like, hey, I'm Ash from like 10 minutes down the road. And they're like, what the hell? So that was there for me at that period. And then my wife had a lot of challenges with endometriosis. Someone I met on that retreat with Wim, where I got my first ice bath was with Wim singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow to me to get me through the first 45 seconds, and like doing 10 days of like immersion in breath work, the ice baths, everything with Wim and everyone there. And then my wife had these challenges with endometriosis, with a lot of inflammation and things like that. So, 18 months later, she was ready to try this crazy ice bath stuff that I talked about. So we went over to New Zealand because someone I'd met on that retreat had become a facilitator, did a couple of days with him, had a big impact on Maddie. And so it's like all these different points. Like when I moved to LA and I felt so alone and setting up, and it's this whole new thing, and VC back, go hard, like you're hiring all these like ex-management consultants that have got like Harvard MBAs, and there's me being like, come work for me.
Yeah.
So doing all this stuff, I just gravitated towards, I would just find places with saunas and ice baths. And again, I didn't say I was the sauna and ice bath dude. I would just like go to it. And when it was really challenging and like really hectic growth there, a mate that would come over who was our production manager, and he was staying with me for a few months over there. I just ran a couple of times a week. We'd just go sauna and ice baths, go do that. But again, I didn't actively think of myself as that person, but it always been there through these like challenging periods. So then the next big challenge, the business is going down, whatever, I'm on that flight and it all kind of comes up. And I was like, there's this connection there. And I was like, and it was just that we talk about flow. It was just like flowing. Like I didn't want to sleep on the flight. I was like, this is epic. And when I get those feelings, like it's not often I get that, but when I get that, it's like, okay, like follow this.
Yeah.
There's something there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So there was a connection that you had from having interacted with breath and ice.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hanging around.
Yeah.
And then at the moment where you're like, I feel this weird sense of freedom, even though my life is looking like pretty shit right now to others.
Bad for a period of time.
It's just like, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. 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 Spot on.
You made it. And I'm glad to hear it's been of help for your wife with endo, because like that's a huge thing. And like, we're two men here that know fuck all about what it's like to be the actual woman with it.
Yeah.
I find it interesting how some podcasts are trying to get attention with their trailer, and you hear someone say, like ice is bad for women. They don't understand. It's a different body, and like, you could fuck yourself up. So just do nothing instead.
Yep.
We're just going to have a warm bath and relax with some candles on.
Yeah.
This is coming from someone who's had endometriosis troubles, right?
Yeah.
Has it, how important has your wife found that as a pillar of the recovery or the symptom management?
Yeah. So for Maddie, like it was profound. Like because there is obviously so much pain, there's so much inflammation there. And I think it's roughly like 10, 12% of females have it in Australia. It's probably higher. It's so underdiagnosed. But it's been profound. Like, looking at diet and doing all these other things, and you can't pinpoint one thing in particular, but ice baths for her been incredibly powerful, and with a bunch of other modalities and focusing on health. But Maddie she had a laparoscopy 8 years ago, and there was a lot of endo, and then they burnt it off and everything. She had one 3-4 months ago, zero endo.
There's nothing there.
Nothing there. So
So it's not like just subsided. It's just not there.
there's nothing there. They can
Wow.
find anything. So now I can't say like it's 100% because of the ice baths.
No, it's
That
not
was-
a clinical double-blind study,
No,
but
no.
like this is one person's lived experience, and
Yeah.
that's the main lever that she has pulled.
There's ice baths, saunas, other lifestyle factors and things, and focus and breath work and everything. And again, she wouldn't be doing those modalities as frequently as I would. But in regards to like females using ice baths, we ran a retreat like with Cowden, a business here from Melbourne called the Breath House. Like awesome.
Yeah, I've been to Breath House stuff. I actually went to something at the
Oh.
Royal Exhibition Centre with them
Oh
recently.
yeah, what do you think?
Oh man, it was great because they had this big pink lung set up like a big garbage bag inside the old Royal Exhibition
so
because we live
crazy.
right opposite it. We've got accommodation there, Royal Terrace, Melbourne, and we live in one of them. And like just getting the music going. Like I've done heaps of that stuff, but I was just so stoked to hear that there's just dedicated breath houses here. You know?
Yeah.
They're called
And
that.
the founders of that, Ella and Nath, are like unbelievable humans, and they're this perfect yin and yang of working together. They're very, very different, but they've built something absolutely amazing. And we do a bit of stuff with them, and we ran a retreat last month. And it was in Byron Bay. We had these beautiful Airbnbs. One's called Bunker, one's called Banks. Like really well known. Any kind of like influencer who wants to have some cool event seems to be having them there.
Yeah.
But we had that, and for a few days we flew in 30 people from around Australia to come and attend, and anyone could attend. Like we paid for everyone's flights, accommodation, food, and everything. Because originally we were going to have it and do it for influencers, and we're like, let's just make this open to anyone. Open it up. We had like 10,000 people applied for this thing. We're like, how do we pick? Like, anyway, so we got it down to 30 people. And I would say like 70 to 80% of the people there were female. And so ice baths is a big part of what we're doing there. Like breathwork, ice baths, like doing some yoga, Pilates, workout, like all this stuff. And so I'd read up a lot on the latest studies and what's being shown with women's using ice baths. And I remember being there in front of everyone. I was like, I'm very aware I'm a male talking about this. So that is not lost on me. Okay. So this is not from lived experience. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist, a doctor, whatever it may be. I'm reading up information and I'm synthesizing it and regurgitating it essentially. So kind of like, please don't shoot the messenger, but it's like, I'm just trying to find out like what information there is out there. So from that, and all the women there were very appreciative that I'm trying to make an effort. And there was a quote, I forget the doctor that said this, and she said, look, women aren't small men, and they do have a menstrual cycle, and their hormones are very different at different parts of the month. And I'd anecdotally seen that with Maddie, where she has different levels of resilience at different times of her cycle. So there'll be a point where she'll jump in a 3 degrees ice bath with me and we'll get through in 3 minutes. And like, it's hard, but we'll get through and high fives out. I was wondering if she'll get in and she can't even get below her knees. She's like, it's like absolute pain for her. And I was like, oh, I get it where sometimes we find it easier than others, but this was like quite consistent. And again, with all this information that's coming out now and all these studies, there is points like post-ovulation for that 2-week period, a female's body temperature has gone up 0.5 degree. That's quite significant. And so any cold feels extra cold.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be pushing yourself. So in regards to like, you can definitely still do ice baths there, but do not try and go to the coldest temperature you've done. Do not try and be in there for longer than you normally would.
Yeah.
It's like, listen to your body. If you go in and you're in there for 45 seconds or a minute and it's at 10 degrees instead of maybe the 6 degrees you do, that's totally fine. You have to listen to your body. But then, that week before ovulation, you might be like, oh yeah, I'm good. I can go in there. I'm feeling it. And you can push yourself. So everything that I've read, it's not blanket this is bad.
Yeah.
It is you have to just pay attention to those different parts of the cycle and where you're at.
I think that gradient applies to both males and females. When I was competing in CrossFit, I had a very different physique than I've got now. This is actually more my normal walking around weight, I'm pretty lean. People keep going, wow, you've lost heaps of weight. And I'm like, back in the day, I would have been like, that's like telling a chick she's fat. Because had dudes get anorexia. I don't think that way anymore. I think like, where do I feel most agile? Where do I feel like I can live 150 years?
Yeah,
and where do I feel like I can spring out of bed? And it's right now, right?
Yeah.
And so my training has gone from like literally deadlifting with no straps, 205 kilos to doing body weight reps and feeling really good about it.
That's
and
great.
it's the same
Love
with the breath and the cold and the hot.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll go in and I'll get fully into Zen and I'll be in there for like 5-6 minutes on
Yeah,
the
awesome.
7-8 degrees. And I won't be thinking about the cold. I'll be looking to kind of transcend.
Yeah.
Other times I'll go in there and the whole thing's murder.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
I just acknowledge, okay, well, what's the last week been like? Fuck, it's been really stressful. Like
Yeah.
I slept shit last night.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm doing something more than not doing anything.
Yes.
And I think it's this cumulative effect of like
Totally.
showing up and just getting to the edge of the comfort zone.
Yep.
I heard Huberman and Goggins talking about it.
Yeah.
Like the mid-singular cortex, I think it's called, where the center of willpower.
Yeah.
And they're actually determining it now as being the will to live. Like, you know, because when you do things that ideally are good for you that you don't want to do, that each time that grows that center of willpower.
Yeah.
So then you can keep biting off a little bit more.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean you always have to do more than last time. It means you just do to the edge of what you think you would be able to do.
I think that's such a great message and such a good point. And it's that, I think Huberman was saying, think of them as these walls, these like barriers that you're pushing through. So the first barrier might be they're like, oh, I'm going to go get into the ice bath. And that barrier is like, okay, this is a real hard one. And then you're in there and it might be on one of those times that it feels like murder. And you're like, 20 seconds in, there's another wall. Like, I want to get out. Like, this is the worst thing. I can't believe I'm in here. Why do I think ice bars are a good idea?
Yeah.
And then the next one kicks in at a minute and the next one. Or there is the experience you talked about where you're in there and you're in total zen. So one of the barriers comes in at 6-7 minutes. But it's just paying attention to that and be like, where's this barrier? I'm pushing through it. And you do that a couple of times and that's,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's
Man, we've been flowing big time here.
It's good. How are we looking for time? I was like, I can't see the
I'm
time.
keeping a very gentle eye on it. I start getting slapped in the face after not too long. So we'll have lightning round coming up soon.
Oh, okay,
which
cool.
is where
I'm
you get to
excited.
finish some sentences for me.
Ooh.
But like, I suppose what I wanted to bundle this up with is like, you know, you've got health and family really at the center of your mission now.
Yeah.
And like for me, health is my number one value.
Yeah.
Creativity, family, and freedom is sort of surrounding that for me too. So we're very values aligned. It's
Very
probably why
aligned
we're
with
hitting it off
values.
so well.
Yeah.
You've gone into Kloud,
Yep.
which is, you know, the Dutch for cold.
Yeah.
And you're selling ice baths, which is fabulous. And you've created a business out of that, which is allowing you to have health and family at a sustainable sort of way of living.
Mm-hmm.
You're now into educating other people on how to grow a company, scale a company. And for what I can see, it's in a sustainable way where you're sort of staying true to yourself.
Yep.
What does that look like for you, like scaling sustainably now that you've sort of almost scaled unsustainably?
Yeah.
What's it now look like?
Yeah, good question. I think for me with SketchNet, like I always say entrepreneurship, I believe, is the greatest personal development program ever created because the business is going to be a mirror of you as the founder, and all the great things about you will be mirrored there and probably amplified, and all the not so great things that you look at opportunities to improve, they're going to be in there and they're going to be amplified as well. And so it brings it right there in your face, and you can choose to deal with them or you can choose not to. You know, it's probably going to be for the detriment of the business if you don't deal with those, but it shines this light on it. It's like spotlight, bang. This keeps happening in the business. Okay, it's a reflection of me. What is it? So I think, and the whole time through SketchNet, it was amazing. I had this amazing growth journey, personal growth journey. Like I found EO, like Entrepreneurs Organization we talked about before, and like that was awesome. Like I loved that. I had a great experience, right? But I didn't really care about a neon sign, right? Like it was cool. Wedding and event sign in station stuff. We can be there. We're impacting people's days, neons if we're getting them there. But at the end of the day, it's like we can impact space, and I love light. Like lighting's a big thing for me. But I was like, I can impact space a bit, but it's not like I don't get that jazzed about it. Ice bars, it's like I don't talk that. Like I'll talk to anyone about that. I will help people through that experience. I don't see myself ever getting bored of that. And we sell saunas as well. And who knows what products in the future, but like we're still so early in this journey. Like the tech in our ice bars didn't exist only a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like the industry is already huge and it's still like early minority. Like there is like not that many people who use it. And it's, I love going to activations, or we'll go to events, or we'll go to a BFT studio and we'll get like 50, 100, 200 people through into an ice bath who have never, and a bunch of them have never done it before. Like, I love that experience of like being able to take someone through it, showing them some breath work techniques, helping them center and seeing them come out. And not once have I ever had someone come out of the ice bath say like, I wish I didn't do that. Like, everyone comes out absolutely jazzed. And the people who buy our ice baths, the feedback we get from them and how much they love our product and like geek out on the product and the specs and the tech and like constantly improving it, but just the impact it has on their lives. So for me, like building in a sustainable way, it's like, you know, we hear that old saying like work-life balance. For me, it's just like, it's all congruent. Like it's all one. Like this is just Ash. Like I'm me and there is no like work Ash and home Ash. Ash is Ash. And I love that so much of what I'm passionate about with health, wellness. You mentioned living to 150, like in our vows at our wedding, like I said to Maddie, like, yeah, I'm looking forward to spend the next 150 years together. Like I believe we will live and potentially be longer than that. And I'm really passionate about that stuff. So the fact that I have a business that is able to bring that to people and hopefully on like a really big scale is like, yeah, I love it. So for me, for the sustainability standpoint, it's building sustain with something that like truly lights me up, because it's like everything we do in business, yes, at the end of the day, we're trying to make a profit and grow a business. But to me, it's like, well, the more we grow this business and the more profit we make, the more lives we're impacting in a really positive way. That's pretty cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good messaging, because you're now like coaching in Founder, right?
Yeah. Which is like full circle, because when we made that pivot to e-com, I went and bought a course that Founder sold called Start and Scale for like X thousands of dollars and implemented that into like launch our e-com business that blew up. So yeah, I coach a lot of early stage founders in Founder. And I remember Nathan Chan reached out and he was like, Ash, we're looking for more coaches. Would you be willing to do this? And this was like through this pivotal time of like just starting up Kloud, trying to figure out what we're going to do with Sketch and Etch. And I was like, man, I got so much on my plate. And I said, he goes, I think you'd be really good at it. You got all this amazing experience. I was like, look, what I'll do, Nathan, give me someone. I'll have a call with them, see how it goes. And I'll do it as long as I get energy from it. That's it. And so like selfishly.
And
like,
this is why Sketch and Etch was still going?
Yeah. So Sketch and Etch is there and I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. And like, are we going to like pump this thing again, or are we like done? And the energy and the values was just off. It was just like totally off with that. I couldn't force myself. And during that period also getting diagnosed with ADHD and being like, okay, well, it makes like complete sense why I can't do things that I'm really not into.
Yes.
And so, and it makes sense why I love ice baths so much and like the dopamine hit that it gives with someone with ADHD.
Especially
like,
a natural one, yeah.
Yeah, the dopamine's just insane the last 6 to 8 hours. And yeah. So anyway, so coaching people, it's amazing. I love seeing early stage entrepreneurs come in and just jamming with them and being able to help them and share my experience. So yeah, it's also being able to give back.
That's right. And still, you know, hats off to Nathan as well. Like, I think it brings a lot of dimension when you're a founder who's like scaled rapidly and then had a sudden downfall as well. And you can actually share that experience.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get some more experience when you finish this lightning round off with me, because we're flowing, baby. Here we go. So, all right, I'm going to say some words and you just give us your honest, unfiltered take to finish off the sentence or on the topic.
Okay.
VC funding is
overrated.
Entrepreneurs who don't prioritize health are
limited. You are going to crash out very quick. Yeah.
The wellness industry explosion is
obvious.
People who say failure is just feedback are
unfortunately right.
Scaling too fast is
like fast food. It's good at the time, but it's not going to serve you well in the long term.
These are gold. The difference between resilience and stupidity is
ooh, that's a good one. I like that. What you're working towards is in alignment with your true values.
Yeah, it resonates. Business coaches who haven't failed are
lucky. No, I'm not going to say lucky. No, that's not true. Business coaches who haven't failed. I don't think. My take on that is like you need to be in the trenches. You need to have some wounds. I want to see some you've got to have some cuts and bruises and some bullet holes, and you've got to be in the trenches and gone through it. I think it makes you a a more well-rounded human, which, and in business, there is, I think that the best lessons come from these failures. Yeah.
I like scars on a resume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best.
Especially if they're up the front of it,
Yeah. And I hear this random quote a bunch of times where people say, like, investors love backing an entrepreneur that's failed hard because they're like, oh, okay, they can go through that and they can bounce back and go again. And hopefully they'll still make mistakes, obviously, but they probably won't make hopefully not as many. They love that. Whereas if the, first time round, first time founder or whatever, you haven't experienced some you haven't had to eat shit and things haven't been really hard. It's like when that happens, how they're going to deal with it.
Yeah, it reminds me of those American movies where there's the silver spoon college frat boy leader.
Yeah,
that's just had everything go perfect. He's with the head cheerleader chick, and it's just good, and then up and comes the unexpected one and just knocks them off their perch, and they're like, "What happened?
What happened?" Yeah.
All right, last one to finish this off. Work-life balance for entrepreneurs is
just life. It's all what we talked about before. It's all congruent. It's just like you are you. So whatever it is you're doing for work, make sure it's in alignment with your values. Because if you're chasing it for dollars, like it's not going to last.
I totally agree with you, man. Look, we've been in the flow zone today. I know our listeners and viewers are going to get stacks out of this. Ash, Ben, thanks very much for being on Flow Zone. You've added a lot, and I'm looking forward to staying connected.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for having me.